Well, if the Cardinals and Titans game wasn't at least in your conversation of blowout surprise game of the week, I don't know what else was. There were some good games. There were some surprising upsets. The Steelers beating the Bills. The Eagles just blowing out the Falcons. The Texans making Trevor Lawrence look questionable. Yada, yada, yada. But did we really see this game that I think a lot of people were kind of 50-50 on, possibly 60-40 on, leaning towards the Titans, turn into this? The Cardinals beating out the Titans 38-13 by absolute Kyler Murray dominance on offense and Chandler Jones dominance on defense. I don't think any of us saw this, but it happened. We saw it, and now we got to talk about it. I know it's a little speculative to be talking about whether or not the Cardinals are going to be making the postseason or being led to the playoffs by Kyler Murray today after week one. Week one's not even officially over yet, but who doesn't love to talk some football? Who doesn't love to hear about their team do pretty good? And even if you're not a Cardinals fan, who doesn't love to see some surprise in the NFL? So, getting straight into it though, 38-13, as you can see, Cardinals dominated the Titans. Just some brief takeaways. This is kind of a video about how they're going to be in the future, not just after the Titans game, but just some couple takeaways. If you didn't hear, Chandler Jones is a monster. He had 5 sacks in this single game. That is a franchise record, tying Hassan Reddick, who just did it last year. Chandler Jones could already be making a case for DPOY, comeback player of the year, sack leader, whatever you want. He's put some, achievements on his resume for this year so far. And Kyler Murray, we can even take a closer look at the box score performed on his side as well. As you can see right there, 289 passing yards, 4 touchdowns. Yes, he did have 1 interception, but he also had a rushing touchdown as well. One of the smaller takeaways is that Kyler Murray didn't have to run the ball, and that is what is very impressive to me about this Cardinals team. They proved this is not a Lamar Jackson where it's like, if he doesn't run on the ground, good freaking luck, because the rest of your game plan, the rest of your scheme might not be working out. I'm not a part of that bandwagon that says Lamar's a running back, he can't throw the ball, but that's a whole nother video. Kyler has shown he can be just as good as a pocket passer as he can be on the ground, and that is what I love about this. Even though his legs kind of saved him in the pocket, we saw him juke back and forth, up and down, and then eventually release the ball, and without those legs, he might not have been able to do it, but that is why he is such a lethal threat. This is very, very impressive to me. I did like seeing the receiving unit this game. If you can see right there, give me 1 second to scroll down. D-Hop, he's D-Hop. We know what to expect out of him. 83 yards, 2 touchdowns, 6 receptions. That sounds like D-Hop. But Christian Kirk, this is what I've always said about Christian Kirk. He is one of the biggest big play players in the NFL. That's really underrated. Some games he'll have 2 catches, 80 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Other games he'll have 0 catches or 1 catch and 15 yards. He's just very inconsistent, and he's there for big plays, and that's not a huge problem to have. The Chargers. The Cardinals have depth to their team in their receiving room. As you can see, even Chase Edmonds got the ball up, but A.J. Green had a 20-yard catch early on. Then he finished with a 2 receptions, 25 yards, and then rookie Rondale Moore actually got some snaps there as well. You see he got 68 yards. There's some depth to this receiving unit. You look at the other receiving unit, one of the best in the league. Even I've labeled as the best in the league. I'm not saying I haven't, but on paper, I really thought A.J. Brown, Julio Jones were and are the best receiving duo. I still think it's week 1. Still think it's a little speculative to put these huge labels and huge takes on these guys right away. But I'm calling it like I see it, and I see the Cardinals defense looking good, shutting down A.J. Brown and Julio Jones. If you beat 2 top 10 receivers, or limit 2 top 10 receivers, to 78 yards combined against a secondary that's looked as not that fantastic, yeah. Buda Baker, we saw as a captain there, but we were curious about the cornerback play. Byron Murphy, he stepped up. Derrick Henry, he was shut down for the most part. Cardinals are looking good, and I do think this can be a playoff team. Looking at their schedule, a couple tests are going to be happening. Minnesota Vikings. Minnesota is going to be hungry next week. Losing to the Bengals, I think they are going to be desperate for a win. Every team is. But they lost to the Bengals, and I'm telling you right now, I think the Cardinals are much better than the Bengals, so they could easily beat the Vikings. I think they could beat the Jaguars. And all of a sudden, the Cardinals are 3-0. And then, of course, week 4, you got to play the Rams. Week 5, you got to play the Niners. Week 6, you got to play the Browns. They could go from 3-0 to 3-3 like that. But again, a little speculative to just assume all this, to just think all this, to just predict all this. It's only week 1. Gotta say, I love talking this football, and that's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing them possibly have a 3-0 start. When you got Kyler Murray, who's shown, I'm not saying he's in front of the MVP case. He's not the front runner, but I'm not saying he isn't. I don't know who else would be it right now. Herbert looks good, but he didn't have 5 total touchdowns. We haven't really seen Lamar play. Mahomes looked good as always. Jameis, I don't know, 5 touchdowns again. I don't think there's any clear-cut front runner after week 1, but if there were to be a conversation, Kyler Murray's got to be in it. I like this Cardinals team. If I'm being honest, my NFC playoff prediction before week 1 was roughly, I was going to have the Bucks, Packers, and then someone out of the NFC West. Probably the Rams was going to be my division one, and then someone out of the NFC East, probably Washington. This was my before week 1 prediction. Again, Bucks in no specific standings. Bucks, Packers, Rams, Washington, and then 3 wild cards. So I probably had, I think, Seahawks, Niners, and then that last one I gave to the Vikings. I didn't have the Cardinals in it, and it's hard for me to change my mind after week 1. Now, after week 2, I'm going to reevaluate this, and I'm not going to change any opinions right now. But I had Minnesota getting the final playoff spot, and I cannot tell you that I'm not thinking about changing my mind, or at least, personally thinking my opinion was definitely wrong. It's only week 1. I didn't get to watch every single second of both of these games. But from what I've seen, what I've seen in the box score, what I've seen in the final standings, what I've seen in the records, Cardinals are looking pretty good, and they look like they will be in the running. Again, lots of football to go. It's early to say they will or won't today, no matter what your prediction is, no matter what your reason is. I think it's a little early for no matter what team it is. But if you told me to pick one way or the other, I am trending towards them possibly making a playoff run. Just Kyler looked amazing yesterday. He was just sprinting in the pocket backwards. He was sprinting left and right. He was looking like a possible MVP type quarterback. D-Hop was looking like D-Hop. But on the defense, J.J. Watt and Chandler Jones paired up well. Byron Murphy, Cliff Kingsbury, everything was firing on all cylinders. And this Cardinals team isn't going to be fun to be playing. And they're in the NFC West. That's the only division that doesn't have a loss. Everyone's 1-0. The AFC West is undefeated. The Raiders haven't played tonight. As of right now, when I'm recording this video, it's 9:09 a.m. and Monday Night Football has not happened yet. So that has the potential to be a 1-0 division as well. But if you ask me, I think the Ravens will win that one. And either way, it doesn't really matter that much. But just showing that they're all 1-0 shows the Cardinals don't bite off on them too much. If you want to bite off them a little, if you want to be bullish on them, I'm there with you, but I'm not putting all my eggs in one basket on this Cardinals team just yet. I got to see how it goes when Chandler Jones doesn't get 5 sacks, when Kyler Murray doesn't get 5 touchdowns. I got to see possibly a tougher matchup. I thought the Titans would be a great matchup, but there's some kinks to be worked out for every team in week 1, and the Cardinals just could have been more hot, more ready. The Titans just could have been having a really bad day. I really want to see some more data, a bigger sample size. I want to see how these two teams work out, how the Cardinals work out. But if you told me today, can Kyler Murray lead the Cardinals to the playoffs? 100%, absolutely. It's looking good. He can, but will he? It's just way too soon to officially give a claim that I'm fully confident in. Only 1 week, but football was awesome. Week 1 was awesome. I think it turned out how a lot of people wanted. A lot of action, a lot of upsets, a lot of wins, a lot of stats, a lot of everything an NFL fan is looking for. And I think the Cardinals delivered well here on this one. But you guys tell me if there's a play, a stat, something I didn't see or talk about that you want to mention. Comment it down below. Like I said, I didn't get to watch this game from beginning to end. I didn't see every single thing. I didn't exactly see how Isaiah Simmons played. I have a lot of hope in Twinkle Toes. Let me know how he played. I didn't exactly see that. Who's another one? Zabon Collins. I didn't exactly watch it. Again, I didn't get to watch this entire game, but what I put together from the little bit I did see, Cardinals are looking good, and I'm feeling good about this Cardinals team possibly. But, as always, and of course, let me know what you guys think, and thank you for watching. 2 in the morning.